Okay. All right. Um, everyone, hello, everybody. And let me briefly go around the I don't know what we call this, the room, you know, but the let me go around the room here to my left. I'm hoping that's your all's left too. Is Donna Fuller with Ingleside with Ingleside, and then we got Christine Shanks with Ingleside at King Farm, or Ingleside Rock Creek, and then we got our speaker Isabel Tom, who's going to talk today. Okay, but let me first turn it over to Donna. Donna.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to let you know that I very much miss your smiling faces and cannot wait for the day that we can be in person again, for sure. I just wanted to start this off by saying that I'm really honored to be a part of this group, a group of people that have dedicated their lives to taking care of seniors and keeping them safe. And we should all feel proud about the good work we're doing. And so congratulations to all of you for your good hard work these days. Just to tell you a little bit about Ingleside, I know many of you know me. I'm the Director of Outreach for Ingleside, and I support both Ingleside at King Farm as well as Ingleside at Rock Creek. Ingleside is a company that really creates diverse and rich opportunities for seniors. We operate 3 life plan communities in the DMV area. That would include Ingleside at Rock Creek in Northwest DC, Ingleside at King Farm in Rockville, and then Westminster at Lake Ridge in Virginia. So I think we've covered the span for all of you who are on this call today. We also have Ingleside at Home, Westminster Ingleside Foundation, and Wing, which is our development arm. Today, I just want to say, and I'm going to turn this over to Kristen, but we're really focusing today on Ingleside at Rock Creek, and we're really excited to take a little tour, a little virtual tour with Kristen Shanks, who is our Director of Sales. Both of our communities have been through considerable expansions in the last year. Ingleside at Rock Creek, what they're going to be showcasing today is their brand new Center for Healthy Living, as well as Creekside, which is our new apartment building, which is a mid-story building featuring 105 new apartments for our independent seniors. So I'm hoping that you'll enjoy the tour, and thank you so much for having me. Hope everyone is well.
Great. Thank you, Donna. And just so you guys know, our intention, this meeting was supposed to be at Ingleside of Rock Creek. So instead of canceling the meeting, we're keeping the date, we're keeping our speaker, and what we're also going to try to do, and to my knowledge, this is the first time it's ever been done for at least a DC Metro networking event. We're going to use Kristen Shanks, who's actually right there at Ingleside Rock Creek, and we're going to attempt to give you a virtual tour today. And fingers crossed that this works out. If it doesn't work out, just remember, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. It's just my fault. Not Kristen's, not Ingleside, nobody. Okay. So Kristen, tell us a little bit about who you are and Rock Creek, and we'll get started.
Sure. Well, Steve, thank you so much for letting me and Donna as well be a part of the program today. So as Donna had mentioned, Ingleside is actually 114 years old this year. But throughout that time, we've changed a lot. We are a life plan community located in Washington, D.C., and our newest expansion, called Creekside, opened this January, and it includes the 105 independent living apartments, as well as our Center for Healthy Living. And then we have a health services building, which has brand new assisted living, memory support, and nursing care and rehab on campus as well. So thank you, everyone. I hope you're safe and well, and I'm excited to virtually show you Ingleside at Rock Creek. I'm going to put my mask on to be safe. In the meantime, I will see you guys out on campus.
Okay, before you leave, so just so everybody knows how we're doing this, we're going to start our conversation with Isabelle here, and Kristen is going to go to different locations in the community. And when she gets to a point, she'll send a text message to Donna and I, and then we'll kind of find a good pause, you know, for Isabel, and we'll kind of break in. It'll be kind of like, where's Kristen? Like, where's Waldo? So we're hoping that this is going to work out. And hey, if it works out, this could be a great way for other locations to do little hosting of our meetings. And aren't you guys glad that you're not eating, those of people who've been to our real meetings, aren't you guys glad that you're not having your little wrap and your little bag of chips and your little, you know, Sam's Club water bottles? You're probably all eating gourmet lunches right now, you know, much better food than when we meet at the church or the synagogue. Now, that's one of the reasons why I was excited to be there at Ingleside, is because we're going to finally have some really good food, you know? So, okay, Kristen, we'll see you. Just text us when you get to your next location. Okay, great. And I'm going to mute her. Okay, so in here, Donna, what I'll do is I'll take you off the screen and mute you. And Isabel, all right, our guest of honor today. Super charged up to have Isabel. Those of you who've been coming to our meetings for some time now realize that, you know, what I love it when we can get book authors because they're objective. They've usually really taken a deep dive into a specific topic and can really provide some objective insight to us as providers. And was really excited when I saw the Isabel, who I had met before, had authored a book. And so again, this is before COVID-19. We were all excited, and we booked her for the Ingleside event, and we're charged up. So Isabel, I'm glad you didn't change your calendar. I'm glad that you're still here with us. And first off, tell us the name of your book.
Okay, so the book title is called The Value of Wrinkles, A Young Perspective on How Loving the Old Will Change Your Life. It's very long.
Yeah. So, and we've got a discount for everybody, a professional discount that Isabel's publisher has extended. And we'll make sure that everybody gets that, and other details on how you can interact with Isabel. But I think you guys can see that I sort of ran a poll here as you came in, and here I'm going to end polling and share the results. And what's interesting is that it looks like a lot of us who are on the call did get started in their 20s, but I'm delighted to see that we've got a few folks that came into this profession in their 60s and 70s. So that's pretty cool. But Isabel, before we kind of dive into your book and some of the content that you can share with everybody, tell us a little bit about yourself, like what your background, what inspired you to get into writing a book, and you know.
Sure, I'll just get started. And if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll hope to answer your questions. So I actually live in the Maryland area. I've gone to Grows plenty of times when I was working in the senior care field. When I was at Riderwood, I was the community outreach coordinator there. But I've never been to the DC Seniors Resource Group, so thank you for having me. I've worked since I graduated from college. I started working in the senior care field, and I basically never left because I really enjoyed working with seniors, and I really enjoyed this field, the people that I've met. So I worked in, I would say, every single level of care, a little bit of everything from independent living, assisted living, and rehab. And then the last 8 to 9 years of my professional career were spent at Montgomery Hospice, which is in Rockville, Maryland. A lot of you guys know of Montgomery Hospice. And so I kind of got a little bit of everything. And I would say what inspired me to write this book is I realized that a lot of grandchildren or young adults, they care for the older people in their lives, but I don't think they always know how to care for them. And so working in the senior care field, one of the reasons why I really enjoyed working in this field is because I just gained all this knowledge that I felt helped me to care for my own family. And so the other thing too is that I realized that there are no books out there to guide a younger audience on how to love older people, how to love their grandparents. And so even my book, when you look on Amazon, we couldn't find a category for it because there's not even a category on intergenerational relationships. There's aging parents, there's gerontology and social services, but nothing on how the young can love the old. Most of it is like grandparenting, like grandparents how to love their grandchildren. So
yeah, that is really the first thing that caught my eye when I saw the title of your book. It's like, man, it's about time somebody did that, because we really need to create some young role models out there that are talking about the benefits of joining our profession and connecting with their elders, whether they're in their family or in their job or just in the community in general. And really, I think that this COVID-19 crisis is only emphasizing how important this is.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the reason why there aren't any books out there is because what does a young person know about old age? Like, we haven't gone through it ourselves. And so for me, I realized since I grew up living in the same house as my grandparents, I literally lived in the room next door to them. So I grew up with them when I was 0. They were 68 and 71, and they didn't pass away till they were 98 and 102. So I lived with them for the first 26 years of my life. And even after that, I was still really involved in caring for them. So I was able to kind of get a picture of aging without having to go through it myself. So really wanted to share that with other people and hopefully to help them.
So now, before we kind of get into the topic of your book,
Sure.
just, I know because well, number one, we love spotlighting entrepreneurs on these webinars, and the fact that you're sort of the pioneer in authors that are writing about older adults, young authors writing about older adults. I think you may have sort of forged a new category. Okay. And but I know through our meetings on a regular basis, I'll be talking to a provider and they'll say, gosh, someday I'm going to write a book. But like, tell us how that process, like how did you go about this process to write a book, especially at such a young age?
Well, so when I started working in the senior care field, I was, fresh out of college, and I had a lot of people who gave me funny stares, like peers who would look at me and be like, why are you working with seniors? That must be so sad and depressing. And so I started a blog about 5 years later, and I had been blogging for about almost a decade. I can't say anybody read it because probably none of you guys have heard of my blog, but I was just writing because I was so passionate about all this information I was learning. And I just saw this huge gap on what society and a lot of people think of older people and what I was seeing in real life, because I think most people, their experience with older adults has to do with, the number of seniors that they know, and usually it's their grandparents, and then the quality of that relationship. And so really, if you think about it, let's say you have grandparents on both sides, it's 4 people out of, I think, the World Health Organization said in 2018, it was like 125 million seniors, and that's only people who are 80 and above. So that's a very small sample size to be, making, getting stereotypes from, that's how people are gaining their perspectives about older adults. So.
No, great comment. Hey, as I promised, we have got Kristen at a new location now. Kristen, come in. Let's see where she's at. Oh boy.
Where am I?
Okay. Tell us about where you're at.
Yep. So hopefully you can hear me through the mask. We're good. Great. So the 105 apartments, the first floor is what we call our Center for Healthy Living. So we are in our Center for Healthy Living right now. Within the Center for Healthy Living, we have a couple different venues available. Hi, Alex. So,
Oh, I know him.
you know him. This is our bistro. I apologize for the look of it. We're using it for storage during the pandemic, but so this will be another dining venue for residents. This is our front entrance here on campus. Hello. Hi, how are you, everyone? Hi.
Well, look at all the staff wearing PPD. That's great.
And then here, this is our Cultural Arts Center. So the Cultural Arts Center we have for speakers, movies, you know, different presentations and events for the residents. So it fits about 300 people. This is where we would have had the event today if we could have been on site. And then we have sort of an outdoor area, which we use for meetings. I'll just show you the common area. And then down here, this is pre-function space. So this area, I kind of equate it to the Kennedy Center where they'll have happy hour, parties, different events before major programs. So I will let you guys take it from here, but I'll see you at the next location.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Christine. Okay, let me stop her video and I'm going to mute her. Okay, couple of questions that I noticed on a on chat, or so somebody was talking about sort of different views. In general, if you go to the top of your screen, there's an icon that'll say speaker view or gallery view. And so like when Kristen comes on and if you go to gallery view, it should provide a bigger image. But any online tips, throw those in chat. Back to Isabel, but Isabel, let's address the Brandon has a really good question as you were talking. Would you say it takes a certain type of person to have the patience and dedication to care for seniors that are not in your family? And you've sort of lived both of those from where you were passionately, you know, involved with your grandparents, and now you've got these non-family members.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still learning. So, I mean, I'm still in my 30s and I'm still learning from all the people that I've met in the senior care field. And so I think a lot of it has to do with just a willingness to learn new things. Throughout, you know, my entire career, a lot of this has been personal to me because I've been trying to help my own family. And so throughout, I've been taking mental notes and real notes on how I can better serve my family. So, and I think the other thing is just a helpful spirit, being responsive. So I think those are key.
Yeah. Whoops. Oh, I got to mute. That was Kristen. Had to mute her. Okay. So, you know, what would you say? I mean, I'm always, as some people may know, I teach at UMBC, and most of the students that take my class are not looking at a profession in aging. They're just taking it because they need a writing intensive class, and they probably heard I was an easy A, which I think I am. So what do you think are some of the benefits for young professionals to choose this career path as a journey?
Well, I mean, I think having experience with older adults is helpful whether you're going to pursue a career in the senior care industry or not, because wherever you're working, you know, you are going to be engaging with older people. And so you're going to do a better job if you know how to relate to people who are different than you. So I would say, number one, what I found was great is that this field of aging and just all the different jobs that you can have, it really rewards people who are helpful, who have a helpful spirit, who are responsive, who are caring. And I think for me, you know, you can see I'm clearly Asian. And so in the Asian community, academics is huge, right? But I was never a straight A student. I had a sister who got a PhD, went to Stanford, all of that stuff, right? So what field could I work in, right? And so I really found that I love to help people, and this was just a great field for that. The other thing is this is a great training ground, I think, to build social skills, because for young professionals, you have to learn how to relate with people who are different than you. And I found that a lot of the residents that I would work with, they were just so much more forgiving to me just because they enjoyed being around a young person and just talking to me. It was just really refreshing to them. So, you know, I learned to have better listening skills, just to relate with older people, I'd say. And then finally, you gain knowledge that is practical information. You don't know how many friends and family friends who have come to me literally like this week asking me for advice because they have no idea. Once their grandparent has a fall, goes to the hospital, they just have no idea what to do. So this is a very great field to just learn practical information that you will have to know later on. So
yeah, I agree. I think that it's one of the words of wisdom that I pass on to the students is it doesn't matter what profession you're going to be in here, you're going to intersect with older adults just because of the graying of America. And so kind of coming into our profession, you can sort of make pivots in your career path. It's interesting that, I'm going to throw this out, and I hope it doesn't sound insensitive, but you sort of talked about being Asian and not, necessarily as academic as your siblings. And do you ever reflect on the ageism topics and maybe like stereotypes like that the Asian community might face? And it sounds like you've kind of got, you were sort of almost apologetically sort of saying, well, I'm Asian, but I wasn't a straight A student. Have you ever reflected on that? And I know I kind of took you by surprise with that question. So
no, if you think about it, a lot of the Asian culture is known for caring for their elderly and respecting the elderly, right? And especially when I worked in hospice care, I would get called on a lot, and this is not just by people within my organization, but other, assisted livings, because people would say, where can I find somebody who speaks my language, who speaks Chinese, who can care for me? And really, in Chinese culture, our parents encourage us to be doctors and engineers. And so it's really hard to find an aide who can speak your language. And so even though my Cantonese is not like amazing, I've been able to help a ton of people because I understand this industry. And so I actually invited Daphne Kwok from AARP. She's in charge of she's the VP of Multicultural Outreach. And she was talking to me about this, about how do we get more young adults, young professionals who are Asian Americans into the field, because there's such a great need. Whatever, group that you're trying to reach out to, language is a huge barrier in being able to reach out and provide services to them. So
great. This is fantastic. I'm going to take another break here, but I also wanted to let you know, I think Patricia was wondering if there might be a way that you could read a small excerpt of your book. So let's go to Kristen here real quick.
I'll grab my book and come right back.
Yeah, no, that's great. Kristen? Hey, Kristen. Whoa, what do we got going on there?
So we're in the new fitness center at Ingleside at Rock Creek. This is a new fitness center for the community. It's a state-of-the-art fitness center, full service. And then over this way, we have our aerobics and yoga studio. So Ingleside has a full-time director of fitness, and we have scheduled classes on site for our residents, which include weight training, aerobics, Tai Chi. And then out this window, you can see this is our new courtyard that we're working on. This is the last part of the expansion for Ingleside. This will be an outdoor area where we'll have outdoor seating from our dining venue, as well as a dog run for our residents who have pooches.
Okay.
So to the next location.
Well, wait, before you jump off there, out of curiosity, so we see you walking through the building and you know, a variety of different venues. Is there any situation where you're allowing the residents to utilize parts of the building and practice social distancing, or are basically the residents currently confined to their apartments and just sort of going in and out the door?
So currently at Ingleside, we have closed all of our activity spaces. The common areas are open for residents, but the dining, the fitness classes, the lectures, they have all been postponed until we get through this crisis. We have a lot of online activities for residents at the moment. You do see a lot of residents who are still walking through the common areas, such as the front entrance and the seating areas, and they're practicing social distancing. We're asking everyone to wear masks on campus as well. And of course, anywhere on site, outside, residents can come and go freely. In the healthcare center, we're a little bit more secure. We're asking that nobody actually leave the floors, the residents, and any staff that's coming in, they are basically only working in the health center building. We're trying to do our best to keep much of the campus separate. And right now we have no visitors, we have no contractors. Our moves that we had started in January have been paused for the moment. We are very excited to begin again whenever that chance happens. And we'd love for life to get back to normal at Ingleside. But we're trying to do as much as we can to keep our residents and our staff safe. Okay,
great. And out of curiosity, what about like the elevator? Is there, how do you, are people using, even the railings on the stairways, is there a way that, is it sort of one person per elevator? Is that kind of how you're utilizing that and having them wear gloves?
Yeah, so the one thing our housekeeping is going through the community several times a day, cleaning elevators, cleaning rails, cleaning common spaces. There's not too many people using the elevators, because I will say that our residents have been very good about staying in their apartments. I think that they understand that this crisis, one of the ways to really help is to just sort of shelter at home. And so they're taking it pretty seriously. So to be honest, I've been here all 6 weeks that we've been going through this, and I don't think I've shared an elevator with anyone since the time that I've been here. I think everyone's taking it really seriously.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that most of us on these calls are not in communities. And so just seeing you walk around Ingleside, which I know that's always super busy, and it's really made me kind of think about what, how different this is. So, so thanks. So we look forward to seeing you at your next location.
Thanks.
Thanks. All right. And Isabel, glad to see that you're back on. Yeah, I think you see there's a pretty cool question from Deanna there. If you feel comfortable, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how aging in the Asian communities is viewed, what differences and similarities you may have noticed.
I don't think there's as much a stigma to getting older. I think there's an expectation that your family cares for you. And I think there's this huge resistance to, like, if you hire professional help, then that's kind of like a huge no-no. But as you know, in the US, families are a lot more spread out, and sometimes that's not as possible. And even for my family, we took care of my grandparents to the very end. But there's something that I learned within the last month of my grandma's life. We had to move her to a skilled nursing facility. And I will say that, like, if we didn't have the help of the aides, if we didn't have hospice services and outside professional help, we wouldn't have been able to spend time with her and really cherish those last, you know, few weeks with her. And so I actually write about that in my book, that even though intergenerational living, like having your parents or whoever, your family, older family members live with you, even though a lot of times that's seen as ideal, I don't think, I basically said, you don't have to live with someone to love them, but you do need to include them in your life. So I've seen families that take care of their loved ones, and their parent lives in an assisted living facility community, and they do just as good of a job as some families who have their loved ones in-house. So just to remember that.
Yeah, every
something that I'm
family's
really,
unique, and every
yeah, sharing with the Asian community.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I'm glad. I know you ran to get a copy of the book because we got a request to do a little reading. But before you do that, just give us a quick snapshot of the content of the book and what it's all about, and sort of the experience that you're looking to provide the readers.
Yeah, actually, would it help? I took a screenshot of the chapter titles. I
Oh,
don't know if that
sure.
would
Yeah,
be
why don't you put
helpful.
that up? But share that on the screen.
So let me see if I can pull it up, and then I'll share that with you.
And while she's doing that, guys, if you have any questions, use Q&A. Again, another reminder, I'm trying to go in the chat. You really got to make sure that you bring that drop-down panel to say all panelists and attendees. I put in a bunch of requests for Zoom to make this default, but unfortunately, there is no default. You have to manually do that. And when you do that, your chat message is being seen by everyone, not just the panel members.
So let's see. Let's see if I can share my screen.
And then you have to press that share button.
I think my system preferences are blocking it, but hold on one second. Let me see if I can do this.
Here, let me see. Oh, no, here. No, all panelists can share. Okay. Oh, there we go.
No, it's because of my computer.
Okay, all right. Well, just, you know, in your own words, kind of very.
I think you see that, right?
Yep.
So here is a list. Here's the table of contents, basically. So you can kind of get my style of writing. And basically, I use stories from both my personal and professional experiences to kind of convey certain insights that I've learned throughout the years.
Awesome. No, that looks great. And I told all the attendees, I'm going to share with you links so that you can get discounted copies as providers. It could be a great gift to share with your clients and things of that nature. Brandon has a question. Just curious, what's the difference? What is the difference between a nursing home and assisted living? I feel like a lot of young people don't know the difference. Oh boy, this is a test.
No, I mean, I think that's one of the first things that I learned that really was like a wow moment for me, aha moment, because I thought that I volunteered with my youth group in a nursing home when I was in high school, and I thought they were all exactly the same. And I think that's what people think, you know, all throughout. But I mean, it's based on the level of care. So, you know, assisted livings typically don't have like a nurse in-house. They may, some group homes do actually. Some group homes, which are also called assisted living communities, have maybe a nurse who is assisted living manager and manages that community. But skilled nursing is the same as nursing home. And they usually, they provide more medical care. The resident or you know, the person who, the nursing home resident needs more care, needs more hands-on care.
Yeah, no, great. Well, like, what are some of the things that, if you're looking at, oh, here, and let me know if I need to.
I was going to stop the share.
There you go. Yeah. So when you're out there talking to young professionals, what are some of the things that you want them to know about working in the field of aging?
I mean, I think it's just a really great field that is practical, that you can get a lot of meaningful interaction with, you know, your customers, because I write about it in my book, but I interviewed residents I worked with like 10 years ago that I'm still in contact with. And these are people who have poured into me as a person, who have encouraged me. And like I was saying, I'm still learning more about how to, learning more about various areas of senior care. But the most important thing that I've learned is that older adults are valuable, and you know, the stigma that getting old is horrible. I've seen the opposite. I've seen that, you know, a lot of the people that I've worked with, they just are amazing people, and they really have so much to bless us with. So
cool. All right. Well, we're going to give you another pause. I hope the attendees don't mind this sort of format. I kind of like it. Quite honestly, if I was a speaker, I would love the opportunity to take a break every now. Whoops.
thank you.
Take a break every now and then, and not have to speak the whole time. So let's see where Kristen is now. Okay.
Hi. So we're in Ingleside Salon and Spa. This is a full service spa. So we do hair, nails, pedicures. And here we have massage suites.
Man, I know we're all, I tell you what, we're all hungry for those two. Never realized how great a haircut and a massage was, and how lucky we were to get it until you go through this process. That's awesome. Well, I hope those reopen soon.
Me too. I need to get my hair done.
Yeah.
So we're gonna head on over to our model apartment, and we'll see you there.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. All right. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let me make sure I got Kristen off mic. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's see. Do you want to read a little excerpt, since you had a fan request for a reading, and that, I think that'd be awesome.
So I'm just going to read a short excerpt from the intro, and the intro is called "Don't Miss Out." And I'll just show you the cover of the book and the back. And what's really cool is they actually put my grandma and myself. So I call my grandma Mama. That in Cantonese, that's grandma. And then on the back is my grandfather, my husband, and my kids. They put all of us in there. So I'm just cutting into the middle. So it said, in the beginning of 2018, I reluctantly retired my grandchild title as Mama at 102, took her final breath. I had grown up on Mama, literally having sat on her lap so many times. I miss her dearly, yet her goodbye was perfect in a special way. Even the nursing home staff admitted to that. In her last years, a village had come together to shower Mama with love. We spoiled her to the very end. Truthfully, it was hard work. It required sacrifice, complicated scheduling, being on call, overnight stays, energy, and of course, patience. But I was so glad I was a part of it. Because as I poured out my heart, energy, and time to love on Mama, I found myself better because of it. Throughout my life, Mama, Yaya, and hundreds of older men and women have blessed me in ways that I've never expected an older person to. They've inspired me, given me the straight answer, reminded me not to give up, told me I have a gift. They've shared golden insight. They've calmed my heart. They've taught me true beauty. They have shined so much light into my life. outwardly my service may have appeared sacrificial at times, that it really came down to this. When I served my grandma, I gained something from it. Do you want me to keep reading?
No, that's beautiful. That really is. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for Patricia, who suggested that you do the reading. We didn't plan on doing that. And just so you guys know, what I found with this new format of meetings is the audience questions are phenomenal, and they really kind of drive the discussion towards what the audience wants to hear versus what the speaker thinks the audience wants to hear. And as somebody who does a lot of speaking, that's oftentimes I'm telling people stuff that they don't really want to hear, and you get to the Q&A and then they want it. Let's see where Kristen is now. Kristen, whoops. All right.
Sorry, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, you got her faster than I did. So this is our model apartment. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So the Creekside apartments start at a 1-bedroom all the way up to a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, with the biggest apartment being 2,500 square feet. We'll come this way. Bathroom. And then this is a 2nd bedroom that we made into a den.
Everybody's got to have a home office now.
This is the bathroom.
Nice.
And then this is the master bedroom. All the Creekside apartments have large walk-in closets and full-size washer dryers. So this is actually one of our smaller apartments in Creekside. As I mentioned, they do go up to 2,500 square feet.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. Donna, did you want to share something? Okay. Well,
I think Kevin just actually commented, Kevin Hefner.
Oh, Kevin Hefner's here. Let's see. All right. Holy cow. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Is this Donna? Donna, unmute yourself. Okay. We can see your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So tell us what we're looking at there.
Okay, I just wanted to put up a little more information about Ingleside for those of you who wanted to know sort of how our life plan communities are made up. So enjoy. Okay,
awesome. All right, well, let's get back to the conversation with Isabel. Isabel, thank you for being a guinea pig to this new style of format, and we're going to invite you back in about 6 months, and then we'll probably have a whole new type of format. But I think this is kind of cool going back and forth. So, one of the things, what I really think that you can offer as a sort of a thought leader is ways that we can guide young professionals into being an asset in our profession. Any sort of thoughts or feedback on how we might do that?
Well, so I think that what I like to tell even my kids who are 7 and under, and just any young professional, is that I think they have a superpower. So if you just look at the way that grandparents talk about their grandchildren, I mean, young people just have this amazing ability to have such an influence on their grandparents. And usually you don't think of it that way. So I think in this industry that young professionals can be such a powerful asset to our organizations, but I think the important thing is that we have to guide them. So for me, I was part of the Operations Associate program with Erickson Living, and that's how I actually got started. And I don't think I would have gained such an appreciation for my grandparents and for older adults if not for the people who mentored me, because I grew up with my grandparents, but they were just kind of hanging out there. So in learning from other people to value older people and to see, I think somebody mentioned, I think it was Gail and Susan had said, like, we're not caring for them, we're engaging with them. I think that's what I learned. I learned that, you know, it's not so much about how we're loving them. It's that when we engage in a relationship with them, we gain so much from them. And so actually the title of my book initially was The Value of Wrinkles, A Young Perspective on How to Love the Old. And then the publishing team came to me and they were like, well, we see a theme, and the whole theme is that you are gaining so much from older adults. And so that's why it's how loving the old can change your life. So teaching them that. So I think they just really need guidance. I think they need to know that they have this ability, this superpower, because for young professionals, a lot of times they graduate with a degree in this or that, and they don't become like CEOs right away, or they're not going to become an administrator right away. And so I think it can get super frustrating sometimes if they don't get right away to where they wanted to be. They don't think that they have an impact. So I think it's important for us to remind them that wherever you are working, you know, whether in dining or as a PT or as a receptionist, you can just have a huge impact on your customers who are, you know, older adults, whether in a assisted living or a senior care facility or in home care or wherever. So,
Man, that's awesome. And while you were chatting, I glanced over at chat and I saw Kevin Hefner has used your book for a unique project. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, Kevin, but do you mind jumping on here and just tell us how you used Isabel's book with your team?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And just for those of you who don't know, Kevin is the CEO of Mid-Atlantic Lifespan. I thought this was really interesting how you used the book and how you use other books too.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So we read a book as a group each spring and talk about its relationship to our business model and our plan. And we've read books on customer service in the past, on strategy, and this year just seemed like the perfect time to. First of all, I knew Isabelle at UMBC and had some great interactions with her while we were both there. But it's just so inspiring to me. We all need a little inspiration nowadays, and the relationships are the reason why many of us are in the field. And we've talked at the staff level about reminding ourselves why we do what we do. So this timing of Isabel's book coming out and being available to us, and we were able to get everybody autographed copies too, which is pretty cool, has been terrific. So we're going to be talking about it in about 3 weeks. Everybody's reading it now. They've got a little bit of time on their hands working from home, so excited to share with everybody and find out what they've learned.
Man, well, thank you, Kevin. And there's a couple of reasons I'm glad Kevin shared that is that number one, especially now that we're all working remote, this is a great idea on ways that staff teams can come together around a purpose, is to read books on aging related topics. And it's really kind of given me the idea that it could even be sort of a little initiative with our newfound pro-aging online community. So I'd love to hear how people think. Just shoot me an email on that. Latasha has raised her hand to talk, but I'm hoping also I want to call on Gail if she's still there as well. Hey, Latasha, did you have something you wanted to share?
I think she's still on mute.
Okay, I clicked the unmute button, but and let me. Well, I'm waiting for her. I, Latasha, if you can click unmute on your computer, that would be great. And then while we're waiting for Latasha, I'm going to call on Gail Cohn because I know she's got some things that she wanted to share. Gail, okay, can you hear her, Gail?
I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. I wanted to, you're always such a thought leader in the field, if you wanted to comment on anything related to this topic, but I wanted, because we're getting close to 1 o'clock, I wanted to make sure that you could share some of the information about the Age-Friendly DC initiative that you shared with me earlier today.
What I told Steve was that there are increasing numbers of jurisdictions throughout the area that are moving toward becoming age-friendly jurisdictions. And we have regions in the United States that are working together, notably Colorado, Columbus, Ohio, Kansas City, Missouri, which has a relationship between Missouri and Kansas. And they are what we are going to use as our role models to think about what we could do regionally in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. Examples of that are that we have relaxed for a little while the regulatory requirements having to do with certification from one state to another. We should make that a permanent change because it is really complicated for providers and for workers to have certifications in more than one state. So there are lots of things we can do together. We can talk about transportation across the region. We can talk about housing and how we can adjust things to make it easier for people. We can talk about tech, which, my goodness, is such an amazing shift. We're learning so much from this experience. One more comment before I shut down myself down. I just want to say I think this book is a great idea, Isabel, and it's right for you to think about this from the perspective that you're thinking about. Particularly, I would say we can start in the school system educating from the time people are preschoolers. There is no reason we shouldn't be talking about how we are different as we grow older. I think it helps to just become familiar rather than having no clue until there's an experience. You've lived with it, but not everyone has.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Gail. And for those of you who don't know Gail, I mean, boy, she was a pioneer in the CCRC life plan communities, pioneer in the aging in place villages. She's really on the cutting edge of a lot of different things. And I see another comment from, I think, Kathy, and I'm trying to click so that I can get her with.
While you're doing that, I was going to say something
Yeah.
to Gail. Actually, in grad school, I guess I got to dust it off, but when I was getting my master's in public health, I developed a curriculum for children about aging because I didn't find anything out there. Everything was, very outdated. So that's something else I did. And that's one of my favorite things to do is to go to my daughter's school, both on Grandparents' Day and I go on Career Day and share with them, how they can have such an impact on their grandparents because their grandparents just are like tickled pink over them. So.
Great. And I'm going to call on Kathy Tucker. Kathy, if you can, yeah, I think you made another good comment here that you've been using Isabel's book as well. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are all on there. Share with us how you use her book in your organization.
Sure. So can you hear me first off?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I had the pleasure of getting to know a little bit more about Isabel and her book. She came out and we just kind of brainstormed about how we could utilize all her knowledge. The book is great, but it's more for me. She's so versed because of all the different areas she's worked. We're always looking here at Arborteris to find creative ways to keep our families connected. So in collaboration with promoting her book, we thought at first we'd do definitely a support group for families, why we have an Alzheimer's support group. This was going to be just another layer to it for the families to come in, and then COVID hit. So we've taken it online, and we're going to plan to do it at the end of the month. But it's just another forum highlighting her book, but also just sharing, different ways for the families to stay connected. Right now, I know you commented at Ingleside how the residents aren't out. We're in the community here. We don't have the visitors. We're limiting practitioners. So the staff here is joined in, and we're part of the family process. So it's another way of keeping the families connected to the residents. We're also going to use it in engagement. We've ordered a couple copies, and we'll do inserts, and Isabelle's volunteered to do some Q&As, actually having the residents present. Obviously, they'd be 6 feet apart. We do a Zoom call on the screen, but just to get their input and have them weigh in on it as well. So there's a lot of creative ways to get the book out.
Man, thanks a lot, Kathy, from Arbitraris Fulton. So, okay, let's see. We're running out of time here. This has been great, but let me go bring Kristen back on, and let's see where she's at. And, all right, she's outside the building.
Good.
Look at that.
Oh, hi everyone.
Wow, we can hear you too. Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So thank you for coming on this virtual tour with me today. I'm sorry we couldn't do it in person, and I'm more than happy to show you around in the future. In the meantime, I wish you, your family, your colleagues, and the residents and clients that we serve the best of health, and I look forward to meeting you in the future.
Thanks, Kristen. And just so you know, you did get a question asking about the pricing at Ingleside, but and I'm not sure if she can hear me, but
I can hear you.
okay, we'll make sure we're going to send your contact info to everybody so everybody can follow up on that. It doesn't matter if it's Ingleside or another life plan community. Oftentimes the pricing is not the easiest thing to describe in about 2 seconds, is which we're already over the allotted time. So so thanks a lot, Kristen. I think this worked out great, and we hope to see you live there soon.
All right, take care.
You bet. And Isabel, I really appreciate you being on today. I really felt like even though I've interviewed you before, I feel like I know you even a little bit better now, and I can really see the value of your book and what you bring as a thought leader and a pioneer in the niche of encouraging young people to support older adults better. So thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so
Nice to meet all of you
we'll share
guys.
links. We'll share links to all of your stuff, the discount code, everything like that with the attendees, along with a recording and a copy of the chat, so that you guys can use this for your networking. Thanks, you all. Really appreciate having you, and we'll see you at the next meeting. All right.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.